We all have that friend, right? Swears off dessert, counts every calorie, but their doctor's still frowning at their cholesterol numbers. For like decades, it feels like we've been obsessed with what's floating in our blood. LDL, total cholesterol, fearing the poor egg yolk.
Oh, yeah. That's been the story for 50 years, hasn't it? Avoid this, eat that. It's a bit of
Okay.
a mess. But what if the biggest danger to your heart right now isn't floating around at all? What if it's stuck?
Exactly. And that's what we're digging into today. We looked at research, conversations even with cardiologists, heart surgeons, and they're pointing to something huge that's kind of been hiding in plain sight. The real enemy isn't in the bloodstream, it's like physically on the heart.
That's the shocking part. Their own reports show it's there in nearly, well, almost 100% of open heart surgery patients. We're talking about a specific layer of visceral fat, they call it epicardial fat, that's literally wrapped around the heart muscle itself.
Whoa, hang on. Visceral fat around, like your liver or kidneys is bad enough, but wrapped around the heart, that sounds uniquely terrible, like a toxic blanket.
It's the absolute worst place for it. And here's why it's so much worse than other fat. It's making direct contact, right up against the heart muscle, the coronary arteries. See, most body fat, it has to send its inflammatory signals out through the bloodstream, right, to get where it's going. Not this stuff.
Right. Okay, so picture your heart's your house. This epicardial fat is the neighbor next door having this constant raging bonfire of inflammatory garbage. And all that smoke, all those nasty fumes are just blowing directly into your windows. 24/7, no filter.
That's a perfect analogy,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's constantly dumping inflammatory cytokines, these toxic signals, directly onto the heart tissue first, before that inflammation even hits the rest of your bloodstream. So that fat layer is angry and inflamed, your heart is just bathing in it constantly.
Ugh, that's deeply unsettling. So what invites this incredibly rude squatter to set up camp around your heart and never leave? We found the answer, and it really boils down to one thing, one hormone that's pulling all the strings: insulin.
Ah, insulin, the master regulator.
Right. If your insulin levels are chronically high, that's the signal to build up this specific dangerous fat. So flipping that, the key to getting rid of it is getting insulin low.
That really simplifies it, doesn't it? So, okay, let's talk about that. High insulin leads to what doctors call insulin resistance, or IR. How do we explain that without, a textbook?
Okay, let's try this. Imagine your body cells are like hungry guests, right? Waiting for energy, which is sugar, and insulin. Insulin's the maitre with the key to the dining room door. But with insulin resistance, the cells have heard that maitre dunking way too often, because maybe we're eating constantly or eating the wrong stuff. So they basically hang up a big flashing do not disturb sign. They start ignoring the insulin key. They become resistant or kind of deaf to the signal.
Right. The cell just refuses the delivery. So the sugar can't get in easily, builds up in the blood, and the pancreas panics. It shouts louder, pumps out even more insulin, more keys, trying desperately to force that door open.
But the energy still isn't getting into the muscle or liver cells properly. So the body just shrugs and says, fine, I guess I'll just store all this extra fuel somewhere else.
And where does it go? Bingo. Visceral fat around the organs, fatty liver develops, and yep, that really problematic epicardial fat around the heart.
So you might be sitting there thinking, have I developed this metabolic deafness? Is my maitre d' being ignored?
Well, the good news is your body often gives you clues. Lots of little warning signs, both physical and behavioral, that this whole system is going sideways. We found a kind of checklist based on what the experts are seeing, simple things you'd spot right now.
Yeah, let's call it the unofficial Am I Insulin Resistant checklist. First up, grab a measuring tape. For men, if your waist is over 40 inches, or for women, if it's over 35 inches, that's a pretty strong physical sign you're storing that troublesome visceral fat.
Okay, clue number 2. Look at your skin. Seriously. Skin tags, those little fleshy growths, or maybe weird, dark, almost velvety patches of skin, usually under the armpits or in the groin. That's called acanthocyst nigricans. It's your body literally showing you on the outside that high insulin is messing with things.
Wild. Okay, clue 3 is in your blood work, if you happen to have recent numbers, check your triglycerides. Are they high, like over 150? And then look at your HDL. That's the good cholesterol. Is it low? So under 40 for men, maybe under 50 for women. That high triglyceride, low HDL combo. Classic IR calling card.
Definitely. Now, the next two are maybe less scientific sounding, but really common. Number 4, you're just finding it incredibly hard to lose weight. Like you feel like you're trying everything, cutting calories, exercising, but the scale just won't budge. IR is often that invisible wall.
Oh, that's so frustrating. And number 5, You just can't go long without eating. Like the thought of skipping breakfast or going, say, 5 hours without food makes you feel shaky, lightheaded, irritable,
Why?
basically hangry. That's a big one. It means your body isn't efficiently using the fuel it has because it can't get into the cells properly. So your brain just keeps screaming for more energy, usually sugar, constant cravings.
Okay, so that begs the question. What's causing all this insulin resistance in the first place? Sugar gets a bad rap, obviously.
Yeah, sugar's definitely part of it. But refined starches are often the bigger culprits day to day. Think potatoes, pasta, bread, crackers, breakfast cereals, that kind of stuff. And fructose not necessarily from whole fruit, but the concentrated stuff in processed foods and drinks that sits right at the top of the list for really messing up insulin sensitivity.
But it's not just food, is it? What about, like, life, stress, sleep?
Oh, absolutely. Chronic stress is huge. When you're stressed, your body pumps out cortisol. Cortisol tells your liver, release sugar. We need energy for this emergency. Even if the emergency is just, traffic or deadlines, that forces your pancreas to pump out more insulin to deal with the sugar surge constantly.
And bad sleep, especially things like sleep apnea, where you're repeatedly oxygen deprived overnight. That puts massive stress on the system.
Right. And it makes perfect sense why when you're stressed or sleep deprived, you don't crave broccoli, right?
Huh, definitely not.
You crave donuts, pizza, chips.
Yeah.
Your body is desperately trying to shove energy into those resistant cells.
Okay, so we've got starches, sugar, stress, bad sleep. That's a nasty combo platter right there. But you mentioned something else, didn't you? A hidden villain.
Yes. This is where it gets really interesting and, frankly, kind of disturbing. The other major driver of insulin resistance, the one that often gets overlooked, industrial seed oils.
Seed oils, like soybean oil, corn oil, canola, grapeseed, safflower, the stuff that's in everything.
Exactly. They were marketed for years as the heart-healthy alternative, partly because they have omega-6 fatty acids, which technically our bodies do need.
Yeah.
They're essential.
Essential. There's always a but, isn't there?
The but is that in their natural state, these omega-6 fats are incredibly delicate, super fragile. They get damaged really easily by oxygen, heat, and light. Think of them like delicate snowflakes.
Okay, delicate snowflakes, but they end up in clear plastic bottles on brightly lit supermarket shelves for months, even years. How does that work?
Well, that's where the industrial processing horror story comes in. To make these fragile oils shelf stable, they have to go through this incredibly aggressive, multi-step refining process.
This is the part that kind of freaks me out.
It should. They use high heat, which immediately damages the fats. They use chemical solvents like hexene, the same stuff related to gasoline to extract the oil efficiently.
Yeah.
Then bleaching, deodorizing.
Wait, hexene, like in gasoline? They use that on something we eat.
It's used in the processing, yeah. And the main point is this intense processing, especially the heat, fundamentally shatters those fragile fatty acid structures.
Wow.
It creates oxidized, rancid gunk that our bodies just don't recognize.
Okay, so we eat this shattered, oxidized stuff. What does it do inside us?
Cellular mayhem. That's the only way to describe it. This damaged material literally gets incorporated into your cell membranes. It gets stuck there. And the estimates are it stays stuck for like 18 months, a year and a half.
Wow.
And while it's there, it's actively damaging those crucial insulin receptors we talked about. It's like jamming rusty nails into the keyhole.
18 months. So even if you stop eating them today, that damage is ongoing for ages.
Pretty much. It takes a long time to clear out. And this isn't some minor issue. The average person, get this, gets somewhere between 25% to 30% of their total daily calories from these processed oils.
Wow, that's staggering. It's hidden in dressings, mayos, baked goods, restaurant food, processed snacks, everywhere.
It's the foundation of the modern ultra-processed diet.
Which brings us to a really important point, the keto caveat, you could call it. People go low carb, right? They ditch the bread, the pasta. They think they're fixing the insulin problem. But maybe their inflammation doesn't budge. Maybe the heart issues aren't getting better. Why not?
Because a low-carb diet doesn't automatically mean a low-seed oil diet. You could be super strict about avoiding rice, but then you cook your steak in vegetable oil or pour on a store-bought dressing made with soybean oil. You've stopped pouring sugar at the cell, maybe, but you're still continuously damaging the door lock with these oxidized fats. You need to fix both sides.
Okay, that clicks. So, putting it all together, that dangerous fat blanket around the heart, the epicardial fat, it's basically the result of this toxic trio. Sugar, starches, and these messed up industrial seed oils, which, let's be honest, is pretty much the definition of ultra-processed food.
That's the equation. And the solution starts with swapping those oils out. Get rid of the canola, the corn, the soybean oil. Replace them with stable, traditional fats, butter, ghee, tallow, coconut oil, good quality olive oil.
All right, so fixing the oils, cutting the carbs and starches, those are the big diet moves. But what about targeting that specific fat around the heart? You said it's active, right? Like we can wake it up.
Yes, exactly. The research describes this epicardial fat as beige fat. It has some properties of brown fat, which is the type of fat that's really good at burning energy to create heat.
Okay, so how do we encourage it to start burning itself off? What's the switch?
Believe it or not, one of the fastest ways seems to be getting cold.
Cold, like cold showers. You're kidding.
Nope, not kidding. Cold therapy, whether it's finishing your shower with cold water or using cold plunge tanks, is highly recommended. Cold exposure powerfully activates brown fat. And when brown fat gets activated, its main job is to burn fuel to warm you up. It starts pulling resources, including from that metabolically active beige fat around the heart, and just incinerates it. It also dramatically lowers insulin levels very quickly.
Huh, okay, cold showers. Not fun, but maybe worth it. What else? What about when we eat?
Crucial point. You have got to stop snacking. Constantly grazing, even on healthy stuff, keeps insulin elevated pretty much all day long. That chronic insulin drip is precisely what prevents your body from ever switching into fat-burning mode, especially for getting rid of this stubborn visceral fat.
So no snacks between meals. What's the ideal then?
The research points towards consolidating your eating into distinct meals. Maybe 2 main meals a day, say, lunch and dinner with a long fasting window in between and overnight. Nothing but water, black coffee, or plain tea outside those meals. Give your pancreas a real break.
Right. Let the insulin levels actually drop.
Yeah.
Makes sense. What about exercise? Does it matter what kind we do?
Yes, seems to. Forget the long, slow, moderate jogging for this specific issue. That can sometimes even spike cortisol, your stress hormone, which, as we said, isn't helpful for insulin resistance. The recommendation: high-intensity interval training, HII.
Ah, HEIT. Short bursts of intense effort, then rest, repeat.
Exactly. Why? Because even one session of HII can make those tired, resistant insulin receptors significantly more sensitive again. It's like you're forcing the cell door open and reminding it how to respond properly. Much more efficient for resensitizing than just a gentle stroll.
Okay, so swap oils, low carb, get cold, stop snacking, do HIIT. That's a solid plan. Were there any...
Little helpers mentioned.
Wait.
Supplements, maybe. There were a couple of things noted as potentially helpful aids, not magic bullets, but things that might speed up the process while you're making those big lifestyle changes. One was apple cider vinegar, just a tablespoon in a glass of water, maybe a couple of times a day, especially before meals. It seems to help blunt the glucose spike after eating, which means less of an insulin surge.
Okay, ACV. Easy enough. And the other one?
Berberine.
Berberine. Heard of that one.
Yeah, it gets talked about a lot. It's a plant compound that seems to act a bit like exercise at the cellular level. It helps improve the function of those damaged insulin receptors, kind of nudging the cell to pay attention to insulin again.
Interesting. So ACV and berberine as potential boosters.
Potential boosters, exactly. The core work is the diet, the cold, the eating schedule, and the right kind of movement.
Got it. So let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here?
I think the main message is that the path to a healthier heart, one that isn't constantly inflamed by that surrounding fat, might not start where we've always been told to look. It's not just about lowering cholesterol numbers with drugs or eating low-fat processed foods. It's about taking control of insulin, the puppet master.
Right. And it's about demanding real high-quality food ingredients, especially fats that don't actively sabotage our cellular communication. Swapping out those industrial oils seems like step one.
Absolutely. We need to shift focus from just avoiding fat as a category to avoiding these specific processed ingredients that break our metabolism.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. If some of the most common things we eat are processed using intense heat and chemicals also found in things like, well, gasoline, where does the food actually stop and the fuel for chronic inflammation begin?
That's a heavy question. Definitely something to chew on next time you're looking at an ingredients label.